أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد Alhamdulillah, today we will continue presented paper. This is a empirical paper actually with entitled Measuring Factors Influencing FinTech Intentions in the Islamic Banking System, Malaysian Perspective. So many thanks to organizer, Pejabat Timbalan Chancellor, Pendidikan Inovasi, organize the International Conference on Social Science, Science and Social Research (CSSR) 2022. Okay, so under this paper, actually, we have a total of 4 team members, include me as a presenter. My name is Siti Nur Amira binti Muhammad, and I'm also the first and also corresponding author for this paper, and I will help my team to present this paper for this conference. And so the rest of my team is Dr. Nurul Adila Hasbullah, Dr. Farah Payada Borhan, Anis Hamizah Hamid. Okay, so this is introductions for this paper. Okay, so first and foremost, before we go in depth regarding on the background of the study, the introduction, this research actually aim to investigate the Malaysian intention to Islamic financial technology services in Islamic banking system. So that for the current situations, because of from the financial technology, or we call as FinTech, has recently become an essential tool for financial institutions to remain relevant in the face of global competitiveness, notwithstanding the present COVID-19 epidemic actually. So, because of the rising of the applications of the use of FinTech actually is evident for the number of reasons, including enhancing banks' efficiency by lowering opportunity costs and fostering improved customer satisfactions, because consumers can access various types of financial services whenever and wherever they are online. Okay, so regarding on Malaysian's issues or Malaysian perspective in terms of economic benefit from the use of information and communication technology actually. So at the end of this, it made possible for Malaysia to quickly capture the market for the FinTech sector. The numerous studies have examined the intention characteristic of FinTech services using a variety of theories. So we have the famous theories. We have technology acceptance model, TAM model by Davis, 1989, and also theory of present action. This is one of the famous theories related with the intention of behavioral innovations. In certain technology, related with the technology. So we integrate with the recognitions of the huge potential of FinTech in the banking industry. So although there have been several studies regarding the field of banking and finance, there are still few investigations or exploration specifically on the area of Islamic banking system. Especially in developing nations employing a variety of theories. So with this in mind, as mentioned earlier, this paper or this research aim to investigate the intention, what is the factors that influence the intentions on the applicability of the FinTech itself in an attempt to fill up the gap. Okay, so before we go in terms of the framework and also the development of the hypothesis, what is the best statement that related with the design, or what we call as the research design, regarding on sample itself, to achieve the objective of this study. So we collected the sample from April to August 2022. So this is a current survey, current surveys. So we use online survey questionnaire. So we have a sample, a total of 387. Yeah. So the data we analyze using SPSS, AMOS, and also we apply structural equation modeling, SAM. Okay. So it is found that the attitude, we have subjective norm and also facilitating conditions, have positive significant impact on the intention to adapt the beneficial effect. Because of this study was only conducted in Malaysia, so the finding cannot be applied to the other nation. This is one of the limitations for the study. So future research, inshallah, should be include data from users of FinTech in various countries. Okay. For the various countries, inshallah. So, one of the uniqueness for this study draws on the first-hand information about Malaysian perceptions of the Islamic banking system, actually, which offers some different insight on how they should enhance the patronage and also the public confidence by incorporating a FinTech into the business model. Focus on the business model itself. So the study actually contributes not only for the body of knowledge, but then into the practical part on the theory of certain model, right? And also the theory. We integrate with this model, this theory, and also the outcome of the study can be applied by, for example, senior management, policy makers, and also regulators, to improve the strategies in Islamic FinTech itself and help the Islamic banking system to achieve the global economy of scale. Okay, so the term that we use in this research, we use the keyword of FinTech, and we focus on the area of Islamic banking perspective for Malaysian nations, and also structural equation modeling. We focus on the constructions of structural equation modeling, SAM AMOS, technology acceptance model, and also theory of reason action. Okay. So, based on the abstract and also the background of the study, discussion on the background of the study. So this is the framework, the development of the research framework, and also the hypothesis development. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hypotheses that have a positive relationship toward the intention to adapt the FinTech in the Islamic banking system. Okay, based on the empirical studies that we have conducted for the recent studies. So in terms of method, we segregate in terms of sample size, sampling technique, variables in analysis, and also the data analysis technique. Okay, so we look one by one in terms of sample size first, and also the sampling technique. In terms of subject area, ladies and gentlemen, we focus on the FinTech intention in the Islamic banking system. For respondent, focus on public, which are focusing on users and also non-users of FinTech services. So we have some limitation actually. The limitation for this research on obtaining the database from the banks. Actually, since the banks are governed by the Islamic Banking Act 1983 and the Banking and Financial Institution Act 1989, called as BAFIA, which compelled them to comply with secrecy restriction. So, based on that restriction, we applied the non-probability sampling with the self-selection sampling technique. So, with that of sampling technique, we collect a total of 387 respondents as respondents, but then out of that, only 371 were written and available to proceed with the analysis. So, in terms of the sample size done, we conducted the applications of the variables in the analysis based on our previous finding, integration between the theory of reason action and also TAM model, technology acceptance model. Okay, so in terms of variables, we have 24 observed variables, and also 6 latent variables. Okay, so the latent variables include the intention to adapt, FinTech and Islamic banking. So we have attitude, subjective norm, effort expectory, facilitating conditions, and perceived risk. So each of the variables, we have a total of 5 observed variables. Okay, so in terms of the data analysis technique, okay, so this is the last part for method. So this study, as well as this research, conduct a reliability test. So we measure, is actually the aim to measure to what extent on how reliable is the measurement model in measuring the intended latent construct. Therefore, we apply the composite reliability, CR, and also AVE, average variance extract. And also the CR itself is denoted based on the internal. We want to measure the internal consistency of the data and also the dependability of the data. And based on rule of thumb, the CR should be greater than 0.6. So meanwhile, the AVE, the average variance extracted, is needed in this process analysis of data since it represents the measurement of the average percentage of variation explained by measuring items for the latent construct. So every construct, which based on the rule of it, should be greater than 0.5. So we apply Sam and Moss structural equation modeling is suitable because we want to examine the construct validity and also the theoretical link. To summarize, this is the table one that shows the fitness index model fit and also the level of acceptance. So we have a 3 category of fitness: absolute, incremental, and also parsimonious fitness. Okay, so we categorize in terms of index. For absolute, we apply chi-square, RMSEA, and also GFI to check whether the level of acceptance is achieved or not. And also in terms of incremental fitness, we apply the index of AGFI, CFI, TLI, and also NFI to check whether that level of acceptance of this the model is accepted or not, achieved or not, based on the rule of thumb or not. Okay, so the last part is parsimonious, the chi-square or over DF, the index. So we want to check the level of acceptance. It must be below than 3.0. Okay, so this is a result of descriptive analysis, and also discussion regarding on demographic information. So we have gender. So majority is we have female, respondent on female, and also age, marital status, level of education, monthly income, and also occupation. Okay, based on the occupation. Okay, so we go for the results and also discussion regarding the Kronschbar alpha. So we want to check before we conduct the CFA, the confirmatory factor analysis. We want to check the model, the Kronschbar alpha, the correlation in terms of the reliability itself of the model is based on the rule of thumb or not. So regarding the reliability analysis, the Kronschbar alpha was used to assess the instrument's reliability. So it is noted that the Kronschbar alpha value should be greater than the minimum standard of 0.7. Yeah. So based on the reliable analysis itself, all the variables are above 0.7. Yeah. So we have attitude 0.815. We have subjective norm 0.829. Effort expectory 0.888, and also facilitating condition we have 0.99, and lastly a perceived risk we have 0.847. Okay, so following that, After that, we check for const for alpha. So we check for the analysis. The next step of the analysis is CFA, confirmatory factor analysis. So this measure model, the standard CFA, employ in this investigation before we go further for the development of the model itself. So the measurement, the initial step in developing the CFA is to incorporate the scale items as the measured variables and also the item group as latent variables. If the model fit well enough, in which the item groups are the measured variables and we have the subscale are the latent variables. So it is a good to test the factorial validity of the data in terms of the hypothesis development itself. Of the model before we conduct for the structural model as mentioned earlier. So we look at the figure 1, depicting in the CFA model this construct. So the model of fit with best rule of thumb. So we can see here chi-square p-value more than 0.5. So the fit of the RMSEA 0.06, below than 0.08. Okay, and then we have GFI 0.91, AGFI 0.93, CFI 0.91, TLI 0.97, NFI 0.93, and also the chi-square less than 3, less than 3. Over the F. 2 point is a total of 2.0.178. So this is the final, the final of the confirmatory factor analysis, or we call as CFA. Okay. Next, after done for the CFA, we conduct the convergent validity. So we evaluate the convergent validity, which is the measurement of the convergence. It should have the proportion of variation in common among the construct indicator. It means that a CR value of 0.7 or higher is deemed acceptable, as is an IVE value, average variance extracted value of 0.5 or higher. So the CR and also the AVE result also shows that the most recent variables evaluated in this study are made. Okay, so it means that achieve follow the rule of thumb. So you can see here as mentioned in the slide presentation. Okay, so after that, we conduct for the path analysis, the development of the model. We run for the path analysis. The hypothesis relationship between the dependent and also independent variables is measured using the path coefficient. So the study, as mentioned earlier, we have 5 hypotheses and we calculated the root coefficient for each of the correlation. So this is figure 3. We can see it's depict the results of the SEM, the structural equation model, as well as the path coefficient presented in table 2 below. Table 2. So sorry, it's not table 2, table 3 below. Path analysis. So all is significant except for expectation, expectory, and also efficiency expectory, and also perceived. So this is not significant, but the 3 of them, attitude, subjective no, and parasitic conditional is significant, always significant relationship. Okay, so this is the structural model. Okay, structural model. And as a conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, FinTech is a new development actually in banking service delivery, especially for Islamic banking, that will significantly disrupt the banking sector. So we have online payment, virtual money, regulatory sandboxes, and other FinTech tools actually are altering business practices and providing new opportunities for Islamic banking. So for Malaysian, especially users and also non-users of Islamic banking practices, they particularly those who use and don't use the FinTech, right? So they play the important roles in supporting this burgeoning market in many different ways. So as a result, it's critical to make sure that they are motivated to use the digital platform. So many Muslim nations have introduced a legal platform to support the digital transitions in order to create a climate that is favorable for the adoption of the FinTech itself. So this study, the unit of this study looked into the Malaysian viewpoint, the Malaysian perspective, determining the elements of the FinTech adaptability itself. Before the FinTech satisfactory, the FinTech using of the in terms of the perspective of the satisfaction. So we run first for the FinTech adaptability or FinTech usability, in terms of the Malaysian viewpoint. So based on the data analysis and also the finding discussion, this study has highlighted the certain key elements that may influence their propensity to adopt FinTech enhanced Islamic banking operation. So more specifically, the Islamic banking sector actually should take their advantage of consumers' favorable perceptions of FinTech in order to increase their patronage or usage. Okay, so significant determinants of FinTech intention include subjective norm and also supportive environment. This study, the unionists also of this study, the research also discovered that the inclinations they use FinTech and Islamic banking is negatively impacted by perceived fees. Okay, so from a theoretical viewpoint, ladies and gentlemen, the integrations of the TRE, theory of reason action, also the TAM model, technology acceptance model, as a theoretical framework of this study, enrich and deepens the existing body of knowledge of FinTech by providing a better empirical understanding of significant factors that drive the customer's adoption intention, focusing on the FinTech industry. So this also contribute to the literature by examining and providing valuable insight on intention toward FinTech from Islamic banking system. Okay. So in terms of policy implication, the finding of this research provides some empirical evidence on the key determinants of behavioral intention to a FinTech in the Islamic banking system from Malaysian perspective. So the result shows that the intention of Islamic banks customers to adopt the FinTech is strongly influenced by their attitude, their subjective norm, and also their facilitating condition. So firstly, what should make for policymakers? The policymakers and also focusing on the senior management of Islamic banks, such as managers, the top management of Islamic bank, they must work together on formulating appropriate policy intervention regarding on the policy itself, targeted at meeting the expectations of every customer. This is part of the demand side perspective. So at the end, this will enable the Islamic bank, help the Islamic bank to penetrate the new technology market or innovation market by leveraging on positive attitude. And secondly, inshallah, the study emphasized the importance of subjective norm and facilitating condition and shaping their intention to use Islamic banking sector FinTech services. Okay, so I think that's all. So before we end, there is some acknowledgement. So we as the authors of this paper would like to express gratitude to the SCs, focusing for SCs, UiTM Sharjah, Malaysia, for their assistance, as well as Renew UiTM, which also facilitated us the writing and also publication through the Emerging Research Leaders Series, ERLS, at ILD-UiTM, recent program this year. Alhamdulillah. So the registration fee is funded by pembiayaan yuran per proceeding berindeks PYPB, Tabung Dana Kejemenangan Pendidikan DKP, UiTM Mara, Malaysia. So I think that's all for today for this presentation. I dismiss with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.